What's up, gang? How we all doing? Let me share screen here. Okay, sorry, I had to tell Callan not to feel bad and not to change his plan because of me, but just because I feel like I've done that before and it's worked badly. Callan, I love you. Welcome, everybody. Let's get started with a little bit of a trade review session here, and also just a little bit of a FOMO prevention session. Hold on. Peter is telling me we're having some sort of issues in audio settings. Okay, let me check that. How do I do that? That's actually a great idea. Let's do that in audio settings, in my Zoom settings. Is it worth doing right now or should I wait? Audio. Okay, here we go. Oh, here we go. There it is. Hi. Suppress background noise. I'll need to download a file for it. Okay, I'll do medium for now. Okay. You're the best, Peter. Thank you for that. All right, everybody, welcome. The market continues to rip here, looking good for our little Tesla call position, but I wanted to hop on here for a few different reasons. One, we had some awesome trades today. I'd love to review what exactly I was looking at on those trades, what caused me to take them, and how we manage them. And then aside from that, I wanted to make sure that we do, as always, a little bit of a psychology talk, basically diverting FOMO, because I have a feeling that a lot of people have some FOMO today, missing some particular trades. So I'm going to close the Discord chat. I can't see anything. There's nothing in the Zoom chat at the moment. So I'm gonna be full locked on, no distractions, except trying to manage our Tesla trade. So the first trade of the day that we will cover, and let me shrink this down. The first trade of the day that we will cover, we will look at is RBLX. RBLX was a swing trade, and what I was looking for on this one was a 1, 2, 3 pattern on the daily chart after a strong breakout. We didn't get the follow through on that, right? And for those who are unfamiliar with the 1, 2, 3 pattern, again, this is one of my, I love it, but this isn't like a secret sauce. This is a pretty well-known pattern out there, right? It's just one of my particular favorites. The idea is you have a trend bar, right? Bar 1, in this case, a big green trend bar. Bar 2 is like a resting bar or a pause bar, some sort of doji that allows for bar 3 to get continuation and a breakout. Now, that didn't happen today. And RBLX didn't get the full breakout I was looking for. I was actually looking to make like 250, 300% on these contracts. That's the move I wanted, right? Or maybe not that high, but like 150, 200% for a move up to like 42s, right? That's what I really wanted on this continuation. Now that didn't happen. We didn't end up getting that follow through, but on RBLX, we had entry 1.13, trim 1.65, trim 1.99. And then after that, I think it was like stopped on runners closer to break even or no, at like 135, 1.35. But when you take these kinds of trims, I mean, most of our position was out on these ones, right? So a great trade in RBLX, and this was a play off of a daily pattern, didn't get the strong breakout we wanted, but I actually believe that this is in play for tomorrow. Above today's high or whatever the level that we create today, as well as this 39.72. RBLX is 100% in play for tomorrow. I think that this is going to be, another strong one. I like this weekly chart here because the weekly is so extended down that a rally up into the 50 area changes nothing, right? Like it really doesn't mean all that much, but it gives it some sort of short-term relief. So I think that's very valid. Also, sorry for the interruption, but I do have to check what Tesla is doing because we are in a Tesla trade at the moment. Oh, sweet. Okay. For those in the group, let's consider trimming one of these runners here. Let me check what the contracts are at. Tesla 320. Wow, nice. No trims yet. I think we can get to 734, but I'll set one at 345. Looking for 3.45 on Tesla runner. Will I mean, if you're a small account and you caught this Tesla trade, team, I would consider just locking it in right now. I mean, this is an awesome trade, and you really can't ask for much else than that, right? Especially ES at 3,900. Actually, you know what? Let's just take the trim because ES is testing 3,900. Thanks for that update, Ron. At 3.30. Rather safe than sorry. Okie dokie. Okie dokie. My fill was 315. Lame. But good. Okay, 189 to 315. I'll take that. I will take that. Okay. Sorry for that. We had to manage a trade, right? Doing a trade review session, but if we're in it, we have to manage it as ES test that. So RBLX was great, super small account friendly trade. This was our first one of the day. And then from there, we were looking at CRWD as our potential second trade. My internet is whacking out. How are you guys hearing me? Is my internet, am I still presenting good, or is it kind of choppy? All right, that works with me. Okay, so the second trade that we were looking at on the day is one that I've been preaching a lot. This is actually our second time trading it this week. We had a huge win on CRWD over the weekend, right? And again, similar pattern to what I was looking at on RBLX, but this was on the weekly time frame, right? So I actually did get stuck up and take a loss on CRWD last week. I lost about $12,000 because I thought we were going to get continuation rather than a 1, 2, 3 pattern. And that was my own fault, right? That being said, this week on CRWD, I feared like 40K. Because this is one of my favorite patterns on a weekly chart, right? And seeing that on a weekly chart is insane, the potential that it could have for you on with weekly contracts, right? So as well, you flip to the daily chart here, another one of the patterns that I really like. This is similar to a 1, 2, 3 pattern. The difference being that bar 2 here isn't an inside bar. It actually tested higher than the previous day. These patterns are kind of nearly identical to me. Just a little bit of variation between them. And this one I actually kind of like a little bit more sometimes when it tests a little bit higher. It just depends on the setup. So today we were able to get nice follow through on these contracts. This one was entry 1.09. Let's see, where was our first trim on this? First trim was, I think, 1.49. Yeah, trim 1.49, which is nothing crazy, but nice. Trim at 1.98, that got filled, and then trim 1.98. Then we got another one, trim 2.25. Now, I don't know if everybody had enough contracts. If you're a small account and you went 1.09 to 1.49 and sold on the first one, like, yeah, it's a bummer to see that it ran a little bit more after, but those habits and discipline of you being, or those habits of you being disciplined will ultimately pay in the long run, right? So I think that this was a great trade, even if you only took it to the first trim. So it was an overnight swing again for us. So very low stress, no entry, no need to find an entry earlier in the morning. It just sort of worked out very nicely. So those were our two swing trades, RBLX and CrowdStrike. Then from there, the next one that we were trading was Tesla, right? So on Tesla, we came into the day and the game plan was, right? Let me actually see here. So game plan on Tesla was watching pullbacks to 698.42. You can see this is a 2-minute chart here, and we had a very strong reaction off of 698.42. Great price action, and this is a pattern that I'm a huge fan of, which I call this first bar of the day a digestion bar. When we gap up or something like that, the first bar of the day isn't doing anything very bearish. It's just digesting the move a little bit, selling off, maybe trying to push to fill the gap, push to test into the level. And it was after this bar closed and as we started to break up that we were able to take an entry on the 750 calls at 0.90, right? This one I actually wasn't, I had just the other swing trades on, so I wish I had managed this a little bit differently and given and held more of it rather than trimming some of it early. But I believe we trimmed at trim 140. 175 and 250. Trim 175, trim 250. So I actually wish I had made more on this Tesla, truthfully, because this was the best trade of the day from a percentage standpoint, right? That being said, it was also the fastest, and I imagine that there was quite a few people who weren't able to get in this trade because it just moved very quickly, right? As we took an entry, breaking back over the open on these contracts, they moved from 0.90 to 1.4 in the same minute, right? So it would be understandable if you missed that one. However, we took a second trade on Tesla later in the day, and that one was on this 5-minute chart right here. We took it as we caught a pullback off a little two-legged pullback. It's a bar by bar setup there. It's not very easy to explain, but a two-legged pullback, and I took an entry here with a stop below. I actually took this a little bit early, but then the 2-minute chart ended up favoring us very nicely. Oh, excuse me. I actually took it a little bit. I took it right here. And it's 2-minute chart. Then we ended up, so I took it early, but it ended up working out very, very nicely in terms of structure. So we were able to put our stop below here and catch a very nice move up on Tesla. This one was entry 1.95, trim 2.49, trim 2.74, trim 3.3 or 3.15 was my fill. So another very solid trade on Tesla here. This one was not too fast. There was plenty of time to get in and out of this one. So I know that a bunch of people were able to capitalize on it and catch a nice move. We had about 30 cents of risk on this contract. So if you're curious, why did I take my first trim around 2.49? Because that's about double how far away my stop loss was, right? So that meant to make sure that I was risking that 2 to 1, 30-cent stop loss on this one. Very solid setup and trade that we ultimately ended up taking on that. Worked out beautiful. So then the last one of the day is one that I was actually personally read on, but I don't think anybody else should be read. I took a, let me see, it was at 6:37 a.m. So about right after the first 5-minute bar of the day, during this pause bar right here on NVIDIA, over the level I was watching is when I was able to take our entry, right? Kind of entered during this pause bar, got a nice push up. This one, the contracts were moving weirdly. It was like entry 0.80, trim 1.0, which is a great trade. Don't get me wrong. 8.80 to 1.0 is a great trade, but I actually thought these things were going to double up because of how much NVIDIA was moving, but the premium just wasn't there. Right. And then by the time we pulled back into the level, I really shouldn't have closed my position, but I was just in a mindset of like, damn, I have like 4 open positions. I got a whole lot going on. I'm just going to lock it for now. So I actually closed these a little bit red, and NVIDIA is my only loser of the day. I'm like minus $400 on it. But everybody else, I believe, should be green on it. Actually called out a re-entry right around here that I did not take, but I do know that some room members were able to capitalize on that and might still be holding this. And they've caught, like a 40-50% type of move. So another very nice trade in there. So here's the deal. 5 for 5 today. I don't normally even consider taking 5 trades. 5 is a lot of fucking trades for me, right? However, we came into the day, and I will stop my screen share and share a different screen here, right? In scenario 1 of my plan, I said everything looks very solid this morning. It is entirely possible that this is a trap, but I don't think so. My 2 scenarios for this morning do not include looking for shorts based on how the charts are presenting themselves. Scenario 1, right? ES gets acceptance over 38.69 and is able to have a trending day towards the upside towards 39.20, right? In a perfect world, we look for some sort of consolidative action. We didn't really get that. It kind of was more of a runaway. But from there, we had 4 individual stock watches, right? As well, 5 actually, including Baba, but 4 that I had written up here. All 4 of these played out. So when they played out and when they set up, I took them all because everything was lining up, right? So you have to understand, we talk a lot about risk on versus risk off type of days in the market. And I didn't come into the day saying, hey, I'm going to risk a bunch. I'm going to put on big size today. And to be honest with you, I didn't put on that big a size. Based on how I've been trading lately, I assume some of you think I might be up like 50, 60, 70 grand, which would be really nice, but I'm not, right? Like for me, I didn't put in a giant size. This wasn't the time that I sized up the port, right? Or anything. This wasn't the time that I sized up the port or like did anything crazy like that, right? But I was willing to be aggressive today because my plan was followed to a fucking T, right? Like it wasn't even, I'm not saying that I didn't do anything special today. I just had a plan and it worked, right? The level we were watching was 38.69 on ES. This is a little bit off, but it's roughly right there. Break-in acceptance above that level, along with all of our individual names triggering the setups that I wanted to see, allowed me to enter 4 different positions at once, take these trades, right? Manage them and watch them all fucking print, right? So yeah, I made a chunk today. And a huge portion of that has nothing to do with how I sized, has nothing to do with my ability to read charts, nothing to do with me and my fantastic, the plan or whatever that I created, has nothing to do with any of that, right? For me, what today had to do with was, God, I just totally lost my train of thought. Sorry, I smoked a joint right before we started this. Fuck off, Wendy. But for me, excuse me, I got my train of thought back. For me, today, what entirely had to do with was the process of everything that I've been doing over the past years, but more importantly, the past like 6-ish months, ever since I've really like, I think I've honed my craft a lot in the last 9 months. Actually, I will say I've honed my craft and to a different level than I was before. And today was a culmination of all of that in the process playing out, right? Things lining up in the market, me having been disciplined to wait for things to line up in the market. And then when things told me to push button, I pushed the freaking button and I executed, right? I'm sure there was a lot of you out there who are having big FOMO. And the primary reason because of that is because, you know, you see that, hey, especially if you're in the room, hey, Jake was up, he made 5 trades today, they all won. I only got 1 of them, right? Or I only got, you know, I didn't catch any of them. I wasn't following his trades today, or I didn't take this one, or whatever the case may be, right? Or you're not in the room, you're from Instagram and you're red today, you tried to short, you tried, whatever the case may be, right? The reason that I was able to have this sort of success today is because of the process that goes into this over the course of time, right? This to me wasn't like a one-off day where I was just slinging bangers left and right. If you've been in the room, or if not, you've seen the patience that I've worked on exercising over the past few months. Today was one of those days to execute upon, you know, the potential action that I saw that we could see, right? And I'm very, very happy with how we did that, right? Now, in terms of FOMO, I'm sure that there's plenty of it, right? I'm sure that there's plenty of it. I'm sure that there's plenty of you who are out there. By the way, Tesla's doing this damn thing. Yeah, where is contracts at? Hey, breakfast is on the way. Breakfast is on the way, Wendy. Woo. Tesla's at 350. That's nice. I'm gonna keep holding that though. I think 734 is the target I want. But if you have a bunch of FOMO from today, right? What I want you to do is kind of look back on your trades and ask yourself, do I understand why these trades would have worked out? And do I understand what I could have been looking at in advance to sort of plan to see these trades, right? And then when it came time to push buttons, what was it that I didn't, what was the reason I didn't push button? Like, what was the reason I hesitated? Because on some days, everybody, like, that's going to save your life. And we talk about, I think I talk about that more than anybody, is that your ability to not push the button is your greatest skill. But on days like today, where pushing the button is the only thing that you hesitated on doing, you have to ask yourself, why, right? Were you being too disciplined? Were you being overly patient? Were you being scared, essentially, to take the risk and apply the risk, right? Or were you following some sort of rule, right? Where you maybe took a swing short overnight and were red and you didn't want to try and revenge trade or anything like that? Because if that's the case, I need you to give yourself a W, right? If you followed your rules in order, and that is what is causing your FOMO right now, it's going to suck because you're going to have a lot of FOMO right now, but in the long run, that will save you. So I want you to give yourself a W, right? Now, if you hesitated for no other reason than you were just scared to put on a little bit of risk, or you didn't quite trust that, like, I don't know. If you hesitated for any other reason besides, discipline, control, and patience, then I want you to look back and understand, look back more into the chart side of it at first, right? And understand, okay, did I understand what we were looking at? Did I understand the rationale? Because if you follow me at all, you should understand the 1, 2, 3s and all that, right? It's not super, the trades I was looking at were not rocket science. They were rather straightforward setups, right? So I want you to look back from a chart perspective if you hesitated on today and be like, okay, what was the chart reason why I hesitated? Do I understand that? Do I understand? But then also I need you to take a look back on your own mental psychology and be like, man, is there some sort of thing that's holding me back? Like, has it been one common situation I could think of is that if you are have you recently have been death by 1,000 cuts in your account, which means that you've taken a bunch of small losers over and over and over again, right? And then it's understandable that you would be hesitant on a day like today or any day out there because you don't want to take another small loser. You're just scared of straight losing again, right? That's understandable, but you need to figure out a way to break that cycle, right? You need to figure out a way to get out of that cycle, right? And being able to execute on days like today is part of that, right? Like that's a huge portion of trading, right? So if you're stuck in a loop, if you're stuck in some sort of FOMO or some sort of, I don't know, if you are stuck in a not good spot after today, I want you to take tomorrow off. I think that you need to skip tomorrow. I personally think it's going to be a choppy day and that we're going to digest this move that we've had from the overall markets today. I think that there's a chance that we just rip higher or we reverse. I doubt we fully reverse this move personally. That's not where I think the chart is leading us, but that could happen, or we could get a fat face ripper. Like these things could happen, but who's to say that you're going to fucking execute them the right way, right? Like I'll be the one to tell you, you're probably not, right? Like when you are in a loop or in a bad zone, you're probably not going to execute things the right way. So it doesn't matter if you're following good signals. It doesn't matter, right? If you have good trades or good action, if you're not in the right headspace, you're just going to be shit anyways. Right. So there's really no harm, I think, if you are going to make the decision to just say, you know what, I'm going to take tomorrow off. Right. I'm just going to skip tomorrow. To be completely honest with you, for those in the room, I would be shocked if I trade tomorrow. It's going to need to be A++ to get me out of bed and at the desk ready to really like take on any risk that isn't fucking baby sized. Right. For me, my week is done, and that's in a good sense, right? But if it's the other way around for you, if you've been having a tough week, right, and you want to cut your week short, I honestly think that might save some of you in the long run. Like I genuinely believe that could do so much more positive gain for you than trading, the tomorrow could do. If you've been in the loop, I need you to find your way out of it, right? So with that, I believe our breakfast is here. So I'm going to clock off for now, everybody, and enjoy some food. Great trading day, 5 for 5. Been a while since I've gone 5 for 5 in a day, just because normally I don't trade that much. Tesla's getting its breakout here. Let's see these contracts. Our runners on these are nice at 375 from 195. So we're gearing up towards 100%. Nice. That's a good trade. Just on the runners. But yeah, I'm happy with that. That's a great one that hopefully people were able to be a part of. We'll look to trim that up as we come up into level targets here. But yeah, other than that, I hope everybody has a great rest of the day. Trade safe. I will post up my TradeZella report a little bit later on today. Okay. All right, fam. I hope you all have a great one. And I love you all so very, very much. Peace. If you want to learn what an A+ setup is, Aldo, that's what I teach in the masterminds. Unfortunately, I can't teach those for free. That is part of the course. Out of respect for the students who paid to take it from me, that kind of stuff is only in there. So details on that will be coming out soon. I love you as well. Everybody have a great rest of the day. All right, brother Aldo, I can't wait to see you in there then, brother. All right, everybody, we'll talk soon, okay? Anybody needs me, don't hesitate to reach out.